In the name of Allah, in today's session, we will speak about PHP comments. In yesterday's session, we spoke about PHP introduction, PHP syntax, PHP benefits, and PHP tool setup. How we can set up a host and also how we can set up our local PC for PHP development. And also we spoke about concepts of web, that PHP was one of the web development technologies for our dynamic websites, or PHP is a server-side scripting language. We said that PHP is a scripting language, not a programming language. So in all programmings, in all languages, we have comments. Comments nothing just a extra declarations or extra definition for our codes. So why we use comments? Comments are useful for us to know what we did in previous on past times. And if you are working on a team project, it's useful for people who are coding with us to know what functionalities does we do, which line of code does which actions. So PHP's in PHP or in general programming, comments are necessary and you must use the comments. If you are doing team project or single project or you are doing individual projects, you must use comments because you can't remember everything for all the time. In this case, you must have some definitions for your codes, for your functions, for your triggers, functions, or any procedures uh, or variables, anything that exists in your project for understanding what you have done or what does your functions do or why you have defined a variable. In this case, you need to use the comments. So in PHP also you have comments. And here it says that a comment in PHP code is a line that is not executed as a part of the program. Its only purpose is to be read by someone who is looking at the code. So comments not executed. They are not executable, but they are for reading. Someone who reads your code to understand your code, to know what you have done in your project. Comments can use it to let others understand your code, remind yourself of what you did. Most programmers have experienced it coming back to their own work a year or 2 years later and having to refigure out what they did. Comments can remind you of what you were thinking when you wrote the code. So sometimes you write a program, a web application, or any mobile applications or anything else. After many times or a couple of times, you come back to your own code. On that time, you don't remember what you did because you made it thousands of projects, hundreds of projects. So you can't remember all of them or their functionalities. So comment is to remind you what you have done and why you wrote this code and what was in your mind when you're writing this code. So comment are useful. And the third reason, leave out some parts of your code. Leave out some parts of your code. You have written some code, a function, and that function is not more necessary, not useful for you. So you can comment down it to avoid the execution. You have written some code, and that's not for execution anymore. So you comment that section to avoid the execution and continue the execution other parts. So PHP supports several ways of commenting. Generally, you have two ways of commenting. One single line comments, another is the multiple line comments or multi-line comments. A single line comments starts with a double forward slash, and a multi-line comment starts with slash asterisk and ends with asterisk slash. And also the third type of comments that PHP supports is the documentation comment, which starts with a hash. Documentation comments which start with a hash, and we use the documentation comments for clarification of our functions and its parameters to show for someone or for ourselves that this function accepts these parameters and does this action. So we have mostly three comments, but generally we use two type of them, multi-line and single line. But And object-oriented programming mostly we use the documentation comments also, which starts with a hash. Here is the example. See, this is a single line comment. It starts with double forward slash. This is a documentation comment. It starts with a hash. And this one is a multi-line comment. It starts with an slash asterisk forward slash asterisk and ends with a asterisk and forward slash. So these are comments. Anything in front of this for double forward slash counts this not executable. Anything in front of this hash counts this not executable. But they are as a to do to guide you through your code. To guide you through your code, what your code does. And this is also a multi-line comments. Anything inside this forward slash asterisk and an asterisk forward slash counts this not executable. They are just for reading. So we can use single line comments with double forward slash or a hash. But then says that any text between double forward slash and the end of the line will be ignored, will not be executed. It's a single line. It will continue up to end of that line, not the next lines or the previous lines. Only that line that has double forward slash and also a hash. Anything in front of this hash is not executable. This is a comment. So as this we can use outputs a welcome message. We can use in this way to define our code, to explain our code to someone else or for ourselves. Because when we are coding, we have something in our mind. But some minutes later we forget that. So comments help us to remember what we have done, why we have written this code. And also you can do this way, not only in single line, you can do in front of your executable statements after the semicolons. And comments to ignore code. If you comment a code, it ignores from execution. It ignores from executions. So this was the comments in PHP. Any points on this? So next, we have multi-line comments that starts with a slash, an asterisk, and an asterisk with slash ends. Anything between these two symbols counts that are not readable with server. They are only readable for us, for not executions. So this is an example. You can write this multiple lines. Even as whole file you can comment in this way. You can comment the whole file in this way with multiple comments. The point is here, you must start with a slash and an asterisk and end it with an asterisk and slash. For better readability, you can put asterisk in front of every line of that comment. In front of every line of that comment to show this a comment. For better readability or for formattings, you can do this one. And also you can ignore your codes using this. And you can also have it in middle of your codes. You have a line of code. You can comment in the middle of that using the multi-line comments. As example in here, that x is 5 plus 5, but plus 15 is commented. It's not readable. You can use this to comment some part of your line of code. But the next point is to start and end this. If you didn't end this one, it will comment entire file up to where you have ended this one. So generally we had two comments, single line, multi-line. So any points on this? Okay, let's go now. In, we have next part variables. Who can see what's a variable? Yeah, a variable is a container. It stores a data. Good. So variables are containers for storing information. Variables are containers. Variables are containers for storing information. So how we can declare variables in PHP? You already learned this in Java and also in C++ in last semesters. So in this language also we have variables, but we have a simple syntax for declaring variables. In PHP, a variable starts with a dollar sign, followed by the name of the variable. So we have simply put a dollar sign and a name without space, without any spacing, and that's the variable. We don't have a specific data typing in PHP. We just have you have to declare the variable name with a dollar sign and assign it a value. So there's an example that x is a variable that stores the value of 5. Y is a variable also that stores a value, name it John. So if we examine this, we need to start our server. As we said previously, for PHP, we need to have a server. So we have XAMPP installed. We need to open the Apache server on XAMPP because we didn't install it Apache alone or PHP alone. Uh, we did a package installation. Which package? XAMPP package that comes with Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So Apache runs on PHP. Our codes executed on Apache server. So we need to examine this because we already learned this, and that's why I'm going a fast track on this. We are ahead of these lessons, but we need to examine them. So in here, yesterday, we defined two variables. We defined two variables to show the case sensitivity of the variables. As we said, functions and classes and keywords are not case sensitive, but variables are case sensitive. There we have two variables, A with a small caps and A with a upper caps or all caps. But there are two different variables. One thing more here, that PHP variables are case sensitive. Variables are case sensitive. What it means case sensitive, Abdullah? Not important or important. Yeah, the case of our alphabets are important. So if you see here, we have a small caps A and an all caps A. These two holding two different values. One holding 10, another holding a character A. These are two variables. Why they are two variables? Because we said PHP variables are case sensitive. So when case sensitive, you must avoid some mistakes to mention the variable with different caps, with uppercase letters or lowercase letters. You define it with uppercase, always use it with uppercase. You define it with lower cases, always use with lower cases when you need to call it. So A and A, these are valid variables, but they are not required. You are, because they are not explaining something. They are not meaningful. Always use variables, meaningful names. Variables, variables must have meaningful names. Must have. See, I use the must keyword. Why? Because you need to know what is a variable and why you have defined it. The word itself must explain the name. So must have meaningful name. Like is not meaningful. Why? Because when my code is more than 1,000 lines and I have more than 100 of variables, then if I assign it A, B, X, Y, Z, these are ambiguous for us and for anyone else that reads our codes. That anyone else that reads our codes. Why? Because ambiguous? Because we have defined it by for our own. We can know that A is for something else, B is for something. But when someone else comes and reads your code, they they will lose your way. They will lose their way. Why their way? Because the A with no meaning, the variables with no meaning is ambiguous. The developer that assigned it may know, but others that read the code, they will not know. So, and in this case, you must define a meaningful name for your variables. A meaningful name, like this is a number, is character, like this. So I define it with lowercase. This one is also lowercase. I must use these lowercases. I must use as a lowercase and further more steps if I need them. If I need them, then I must use them as a lowercase. If I define it with uppercases, then I need to use uppercase. Why? Because PHP variables are case sensitive. So furthermore, the explanation of this example in here says in the example above, the variable x will hold the value 5 and the variable y will hold the value John. When you assign, there's a note, when you assign a text value to a variable, put quotes around the value. So for variables, we say that we don't have a specific data typing in PHP. So if you want to assign a value of text, then put the quotes, double quotes or single quotes. It's not necessary, but are acceptable by PHP. But in single quotes, we don't have formattings. But in double quotes, we can format it. What it means formatting? We can use variables inside it. We can do calculations inside it when we using double quotes. Another note, unlike other programming languages, PHP has no command for declaring a variable. It's created the moment you first assign a value it. So we don't have any commands. As we did in Java, we need to assign int a, b, c for integer values, a string for string values, bool for boolean values, or any other types for their data. But in PHP, we don't have any commands. When you assign the value, it says it's created the moment you first assign a value to it. When you assign a value to it, it's been created. It has a value and it defines data type. According to value, have you assign it. So, and also think variables as containers for storing data. So PHP variables, for assigning variables, we have some rules. We have some rules. First, as I said, it must be meaningful. A variable can have a short name like x and y, or a more descriptive name like h, car name, total value. But the one things that necessary they have mentioned here, a variable must start with a dollar sign, followed by the name of the variable. The dollar sign is necessary and mandatory for variables. Mandatory for variables. And must start with a dollar sign. The next part, a variable name must start with a letter or the underscore character. After dollar sign, you must put underscore or a letter. Underscore or a letter, but nothing else. You can put underscore and letter, but nothing else. It must not start with a number or with any other symbol. With because PHP doesn't accept symbols in variable names. A variable must start with a dollar sign like this. I have started with character. I can start it with a underscore also. I can start it with underscore also, but I can't start with a number. This is wrong. See, it's now it says that the variable character is assigned, but its value is never used. Syntax error. Unexpected token 1. Unexpected token 1. It says that it was unexpected. I don't know it is. It's not required, it's not valid. It's not valid. It must have what? A character like A to Z, a small or caps or all caps. But you can use the underscore also, not the other signs like percentage or like hash or something else. See, I use the hash that automatically converted to comment, converted to comment because we use it the hash for single line comments. So, and a variable name can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscores. So, opposite of PLSQL, in PLSQL we can use this dollar sign, the hash, and also underscore for naming. But in PHP we can use alphanumeric only. What alphanumeric means? Only alphabets and numbers and names. The after first character. After the first character, we can use the numbers, we can use the alphabets, but we cannot use symbols. We cannot use symbols. Like this, I started with C, I can put one here. That's not problem. The point is the starting one. The point is the after dollar sign, the first character. The first character must be a letter or and underscore. But after this, the second, third, fourth, they can be anything. They are alphanumerics, but nothing else. The numbers and alphabets. The numbers and alphabets only. The next point is variables name are case sensitive. H with lowercase and H with uppercase are two different variables. And again, the variables are case sensitive. How you can output a variable? How you can get output of variables? The PHP echo statement is often used to output data on the screen. The echo statement is used for getting output on the screen. So we can use this for getting output of our variables also. So as I said some minutes ago, I can use double quotations for formatting, for calculations. If you use the echo with double quotations, you can directly print the variable data inside it. You can directly print the variable data inside it. If you do here, let me comment this section. Let me delete this one. I need to assign a variable. I need to put a dollar sign here. I need to put a dollar sign, my var, and this is NIMA is great. Its value is NIMA is great. Now it's a string. We didn't define it a data type for it. We didn't define it data type it, but it is a string. String character. String variable. So how I can print this? I can use the echo to print this one. Inside this, I can put dollar sign and then my var. It will print it for me. It will print it for me. I can print this inside the variable. I can do this. This text comes from variable. Now it works without any concatenations. Without any concatenations. But if I had single quotes, I need to concatenate this. I need to concatenate this, combine this with my string. If I open this one in here, localhost class project and transfer. This says that the text comes from variable and the text is NIMA is great. This comes from my variable. Why? Because I use text formatting inside my echo statement. And also you can concatenate this one. You can divide it. You can also divide it in this way if you want. But this one is easier than this. You can this concatenate with a dot. In Java, you use it the single quotes, the addition symbol or plus symbol to concatenate. But in PHP, we use dot for concatenation. We use dot for concatenation. If you want to combine two strings, then you can use the dot. The dot symbol for combining two strings. So, and also you can output two variables and also do calculations with your echo statement. So the next one, PHP is loosely typed language. PHP is loosely typed language. What it means? It means that PHP automatically associates a data type to the variable. PHP automatically associates a data type to the variable depending on its value. We didn't assign it a data type, yeah, but PHP knows it by the value that we assign. That's called for a language with a loosely typed. Loosely typed it means we don't have a strict data typing. We don't have a strict data typing to define data types for our variables. That's the definition for loosely typed language. PHP is also a loosely typed language. So this is that since data types are not sent instructions, you can do things like adding a string to an integer without causing an error. You can add a string with an integer. You can add a string with an integer without getting any error. See, I need to this int like 10. You can add this one with this with int without getting any error. So let's see this one. So I need to put in here the variable name like test $int plus $my var. I need to print this one test. Yeah. So what it means that we can use two strings. See, we have get error. It says that it's integer plus a string. We didn't define the data types for them. Yeah, we didn't define the data types for them, but we got error. So what it means that we have a a string integer. We have a string integer. What it means, instead of districts, I have a 10. I have a 10 here. Now I can do this calculations. See, it says that 20. Says the result is 20. We have an integer string in PHP. Yeah? How we can define it? Actually, this is a string. This is a string. If I print this before this one, var dump it. Why we use it for var dump? Anyone? Why we use it var dump function? Shows the data type. Yeah. Let's see what's the data type for our my var. My var is a string data type. My var is a string data type with a value at inside 10. But in here, the calculation has been done. 10 plus 10 is 20. But this one says that my var is a string. My var is a string. So actually, there's string. It's inside double quotations. It's a string. But since it's a number inside double quotations, PHP knows it as a integer. Actually, you can do calculations on this. But if there's a text, you can't do this one. Like Ahmad. If you do this one, you know you will get error. Says that unsupported operand types integer plus string. Integer plus string because there is no number inside this string. It's a string, has a text. A text with a number can be added. In definition of addition, we say that we can add two things that are same type with each other. In mathematics, you learn this one. Addition is an operation that we add two same things, two same type of things. So a text can't be added with a number, but since inside a string we have a number, actually it's a string, but it knows it as a number. Why? Because we have a number inside it. So after PHP 7, the type declarations were added. This gives an option to specify the type expected when declaring a function, and by enabling the strict requirements will throw a fatal error on a type mismatch. After PHP 7, the type declarations are added only in functions. In functions, you can define types. You can define types. And also, we have a strict and non-strict that you will learn in functions later. So, next one is variable types. We don't have any so okay. So any points on this up to now? Yeah. Loosely type it in here says that automatically associates a data type to a variable depending on its value. When in a language we don't have directly type setting. What that means in Java is not a loosely typed, a restricted type. We have one restricted and another loosely typed. We define a data type for a variable. Strict is we define data types for our variables, and that variables only accept that type of data. But in loosely typed language, we don't assign a data type. It gets from the value we assign. It gets from the value that we have assigned. No points? Thank you.